How do you decide your honeymoon destination after marriage? Newlywed Shrien Dewani had a very unique idea for this. He took S from his name and A from his wife, Anni's name, and joined them together, which comes down to South Africa. But what happened after that is beyond imaginable. It will become impossible for you to trust anyone blindly in your life. Today, we will know about a 10-year-old murder case that was a breaking news, because of which a parent had to lose his daughter. And along with that, even the justice system became untrustable. Anni Dewani, the honeymoon murder case. 28-year-old Anni Hindocha was unknowingly going to meet her future husband in London, Shrien Dewani, who was a 30-year-old CA with a family-owned business. Basically a multimillionaire. Anni and Shrien met because of one of their aunts. They had a lot of things in common, and most importantly, they both belonged to Indian origin. The Hindocha family loved their daughter's choice because he belonged from a good family. He was well educated and was good looking as well. The icing on the cake was that he had a no-no concept for sex before marriage. Both of them got engaged in May 2010, and they marked 29th October as their wedding date. Like every typical Indian wedding, their marriage happened enthusiastically near the Powai Lake in Mumbai, and both of them started their new journey. But no one knew that this romance phase was going to go on for a few days, and then it was going to become a crime thriller. On 7th November, this newlywed couple went to South Africa's Kruger National Park for their honeymoon. After spending some days there, they thought of taking a taxi and going to Cape Town. A taxi driver named Zola Tongo dropped them in Cape Grace 5-star hotel in his minivan. Anni had checked in, and after talking to Zola for 10 minutes, even Shrien came in. In this 10 minutes of chat, Shrien had booked Tango as his tour guide for the next day in Cape Town. On the morning of 13th November, to exchange all the cash he brought with him, Shrien went to town with Tango and comes back to the hotel. On that day, they spent more than half of the day in the hotel, and at night, both Anni and Shrien planned their dinner in 96 Winery Road, which is a beautiful restaurant. At sharp 7:30 p.m., when Zola reaches the Cape Grace Hotel in his minivan, at that time he gets to know that there have been last-minute changes. Instead of going to the dinner, the couple thought of having something light and exploring the raw side of Cape Town. Well, this sounds like an adventurous plan, does it not? But in some time, this was going to take a scary form. In Cape Town, there was a seaside resort town named Strand, where the couple had their dinner. While going to Strand, there is a township named Guguletu, which you have to pass. After dinner, passing from such a township, where according to the South African Institute of Race Relations, from 2005 to 2010, there have been 700 murders. Yes, you heard me right. It's 700. Anyway, while returning to their hotel, Zola took a turn from the main road, and they went towards the township. At that time, there was a sudden bang in the car. Two hijackers were standing there with guns and went inside the taxi. And Zola, whose taxi it was, they threw him out of the car, and the hijackers started driving that taxi. Anni and Shrien were seated in the backseat, and they became very scared because at 10:30 at night on a quiet, unknown road, if this had happened to me, I would be scared as hell. They couldn't understand how to escape from the situation. The car went on for around 20 minutes, and after that, the hijackers stole all the expensive things from Shrien, including his phone. Shrien took help from the local people there and complained it to the police. The police left Shrien and Zola at the Cape Grace Hotel, and they went outside to go and look for Annie because apparently she was missing. At that night, Shrien's family called Annie's father, Hindocha, and informed him about the events that happened in South Africa. And after some time, Shrien called Hindocha and told him about all this. Just as he heard all this, he took the first flight to South Africa. The next day, police get a call from a place named Kelucha from a local resident, where he says that the whole night there was a car, which was a grey-colored Volkswagen minivan, in which no one was seen. After hearing this, the police reached there just to find Anni Dewani's blood-bathed dead body, lying lifeless on the backseat of the minivan. Annie was shot dead. The gunshot went straight to her neck, and in just one gunshot, Annie was dead. All her expensive luggage had also disappeared, which was worth of $6,229 USD. There were scratches on Annie's inner thigh, but in the post-mortem report, there were no evidences of sexual abuse pointing towards the struggle before death. From the starting of this investigation, there were many loopholes. We can say that there was something very fishy and suspicious. It just wasn't a case of robbery and hijack, but there was a bigger mystery hidden behind this. According to Shrien, when Zola was thrown out of the car, the hijackers had said to Shrien, "We only needed the car. We don't want to hurt anyone," which is why they would go ahead and leave them, but separately. Then why did the hijackers kill Annie after leaving Shrien and left the car stranded on the road? Secondly, Zola was a localite. He already knew about Guguletu. Then why would he take a tourist couple there so late at night? The third doubtful thing is that why did the hijackers let Shrien and Zola go first? That too without hurting them. The South African police wanted to solve this case quickly and sent the culprits to jail. They were under pressure because that year South Africa had hosted the FIFA World Cup, because of which there were chances of tourism increasing in South Africa. But if this murder case would reach media, then there could be a very big decline in the tourism industry. The minivan was thoroughly searched for evidence and fingerprints, and there the print of Zola Mangeni were found. Mangeni's records were already in the police system because of his involvement in the previous criminal activities. He told his involvement in this case through a videotape and also revealed the name of his accomplice, Mizi Mamadora Kwebe. After 2 days, Kwebe was in police custody, and he revealed the name of his third accomplice, Monde Molombo. Kwebe first denied all the allegations against him, but when all the conspirators were made to sit together, then all three of them accepted that they kidnapped the Dewani couple and killed Annie. Mangeni and Kwebe had hijacked the taxi, and going forward, Kwebe had shot Annie. In the questioning of Molombo, it was known that he was just a middleman who was making the real conspirators meet against these gangsters. But in reality, who was this conspirator who made this kidnapping happen, which became a murder case? Molombo now told the police that before some days, taxi driver Zola Tongo had come to him in search of a hitman. If we revise, then in custody now there were 4 people: Zola, Molombo, and 2 hijackers. When the police took Zola in custody, at that time he denied all the accusations against him. He started saying that he was actually the victim in this, and the 2 hijackers had thrown him out of the car and kidnapped the Dewani couple. For 2 to 3 days, he stayed put on this statement. But on 20th November, he appointed an attorney named William D. Grass and surrendered. At this time, the statement that Zola had given, after hearing that, you will be shocked to the core. If you think like a detective, then you must have already predicted on which mode this story is going to go in. Zola told the police that to plot this whole plan, a person had told him, and that person was no other than Anni Dewani's husband, Shrien Dewani. Remember when in Cape Grace Hotel, when Anni went to the hotel to check in 10 minutes before, that was the time when Shrien was unfolding this whole plan. According to Zola, Shrien had told him that he wanted to escape from Anni, and whoever will help him in removing her from the scene, he will give them 15,000 South African rands, which is approximately 2,000 USD. That is when Zola connected with Molombo, and the rest is a terrible history. CCTV footages and call records was proving all the things that Zola said true. Molombo was a receptionist, and in his workplace he had gotten a call where he says that the person who wants this is in rush. This footage was recorded on the CCTV camera. Everything was very well planned, and the amount that Shrien had promised to give all of them, all 4 of them, and to have no records from that transaction, he had given everything in cash. Remember when Shrien had gone to town with Zola to exchange cash? This was the time when the cash was given to all the 4 accused. Before Anni's dead body was found, Shrien and Zola had met in a hotel of Cape Grace, where Shrien sent the cleaners outside and gave Zola a white envelope. In the CCTV camera of the hotel, it is clearly understood, but Shrien obviously denied this fact by stating that he was only paying the money to the driver for the work. Police were doubting Shrien again because at the start he had given the police this statement that when the hijackers had come, he gave all the expensive items to the hijackers. But changing this statement, Shrien again said that Anni's 25,000 USD ring he had hidden in the backseat of the car, which was true, and the ring was there. Frequently changing the statement given to the police and change anyone from a victim to a suspect for obvious reasons. Anni's family also states that Anni was not happy in the marriage. When she was on her honeymoon, she had texted many of her friends and relatives about this. And it was also known that a day before Anni's funeral, Shrien had kept a pizza party. During the funeral, Shrien was behaving very aggressively. He was throwing all the flowers and letters brought by the relatives to the ground, because of which Anni Dewani's family was very upset, and they should be. Anni's sister also said in one of the interviews that on the day of the funeral, Shrien had to put bangles in Anni's hand, but because her body was cold and stiff, the bangles were not going in. But he was trying to forcefully put them on. And when Anni's family declined him to do that, he thrashed her hand with force. Like, how disrespectful can you be? Kwebe and Mangene was charged with murder, robbery, and kidnapping. Monde Molombo was not punished because according to the court, the accused was not directly involved with the case. He had gotten immunity from prosecution. According to the plea deal, Zola Tongo was charged with 18 years in prison in exchange for his true testimony against Shrien Dewani. And after this, Shrien was also arrested after this plea deal, but he was released in only some days. Now comes the story's biggest twist. Some rumors started spreading that Shrien was homosexual, but he denied all these allegations. But a male sex worker named German Master admitted that they had physical relations. After some days, even this was known that after some hours of Anni's death, Shrien started to browse dating apps and also started to watch porn, which is not something anyone would do when they lose their known person. Shrien's lawyers tried to keep him safe. In fact, Dewani family hired Max Clifford, who got jail for sex offense going forward, and during imprisonment he died in 2017. And it was also declared that Shrien was suffering from PTSD and was influenced by a lot of mental stress. In 2014, Judge Traverso finally proved Shrien not guilty because there were not enough evidences against him. and the four who were imprisoned because of their statements changing frequently, the judge was not able to come to a final decision. We know that Shrien belonged to a very rich family, and it is also said that all the decisions of the court were done in his favor because of his elite status. And at the end of the day, it was the Hindocha family that was broken and harassed by the media. And that wraps up the whole story. Thank you all for watching, and please let me know in the comment section below what do you think about this case. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and smash the like button.